Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Days Podcast along with a new video. I just want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it, and we will definitely be making sure that there's Patreons along with episodes on Spotify for you guys to look at as well or listen to. And we will continue with our free content. So we are going to talk about, again, a female rapper, Missy Elliott's Miss E, So Addictive. Yes, so let's get into it. Missy, So Addictive is the third studio album by Missy Elliott. It was released by The Gold Mine and Elektra Records on May 15, 2001 in the United States. So yeah, this is her third album now that she's just independently publishing, her own music. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The album spawned the club and R&B hip-hop hits 1 Minute Man featuring Ludacris and Trina and Get Your Freak On, as well as the international club hit For My People and the less commercially successful single Take Away. The album debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 chart, selling 250,000 copies in its first week. The album was certified platinum by the Recording Academy. The album garnered 2 Grammy Awards for Get Your Freak On and the non-single Scream, aka Itchin', for Best Rap Solo Performance and Best Female Rap Solo Performance, respectively. So, it doesn't say exactly when she was recording this album, but I would be pretty sure that if she was recording this in the midst of 2000, going into 2001, and yeah, this was in the midst of Janet Jackson releasing All For You. Destiny's Child came back with Survivor. You have, all these other artists that were emerging. Britney Spears was coming back, and Christina Aguilera was emerging again. Like, there was just all these different people coming back in 2001, 2000, 2002. So this was one of those moments, like I've said in previous episodes, with different artists, where it's just when you release something, it stands out later rather than people feeling like it's not going to do as much in that moment. It's like, no, it's doing great. You thought wrong. Okay. So, the singles Get Your Freak On was released March 13, 2001. Lick Shots, which is May 1st, 2001. 1 Minute Man, June 22nd, 2001. Take Away, which was November 5th, 2001. For My People, which is March 25th, 2002. So she had 5 different singles at the time to promote the album. So it received widespread acclaim from music critics. On Metacritic, the album held a score of 89 out of 100 based on 16 reviews, indicating universal acclaim. Yes. John Bush from AllMusic felt that Elliott was sounding more assured of her various strengths than at any time since her startling debut, and called her best album so far. He wrote that it's a tribute to her incredible songwriting skills and Timbaland's continuing production excellence, that she can have it any way she wants it and still come away with a full length that hangs together brilliantly. Rolling Stone found that Missy, So Addictive, proclaims unto all the world that Missy, the singer, rapper, songwriter, along with Tim, the producer, is back on top, making the most sonically inventive, rhythmically, there we go, explosive pop music around. Le Freak, c'est chic. Yes. So it did well. Commercial performance. Missy, So Addictive debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 chart, selling 250,000 copies in its first week. This became Elliott's 3rd US top 10 debut. The album ended up spending a total of 43 weeks on the chart. On July 18th, 2001, the album was certified platinum by the Recording Academy for sales of over 1 million copies in the US. As of November 15th, the album has sold 1.7 million copies in the US. So, great album. Let's look at the track list. So, Track 1 is So Addictive intro featuring Charlene Tweet Keys. So this is when we get to see Tweet come in, okay? So Tweet is here, okay? Track 2 is Dog and Heat featuring Method Man and Redman, okay? So listen, can't go wrong with the cousins. They're going off. Track 3, 1 Minute Man. And I think, hold on, let me make sure. I think they cousins. I don't want to say that they not cousins, but I don't want to, if they not cousins, they not, the duo have known each other for a long time before signing. They reunited in 1994 on tour and met again in 1995. It doesn't say that they're cousins, but still, they close like that. They're very, very close like that. I would have thought they were cousins. They made a whole movie together saying How High, and in the midst of this album, How High came out. So it's just like, hey, they always going off, okay? Yes, track 3, 1 Minute Man featuring Ludacris. So this is when, yes, okay. Track 4, Lick Shots. Track 5, Get Your Freak On. So yeah, by track 5, you bumping, you dancing, you just hearing everybody like it's a party. And then track 6, Scream, aka Itchin' featuring Timbaland. Track 7, Old School Joint. Track 8, Takeaway featuring Genuine. Track 9, For My People featuring Eve. Track 10, Bust a Bus, an interlude performed by Busta Rhymes. So yes, even when you see them now touring, like Busta Rhymes and Missy, they've always been together, okay? And yeah, even with Timbaland being on tour with them as we speak, like they're all touring right now, and really taking in the moment, because they made these hits, and with over 20 years later, it's just like, wow, like we still doing it, we still killing it, like yeah, y'all going off. Track 11, What You Gonna Do, featuring Timbaland. Track 12, Step Off. Track 13, Ecstasy. Track 14, Slap Slap Slap, featuring Debrat and Jade. Track 15, I've Changed, interlude featuring Lil Mo. Track 16, 1 Minute Man remix featuring Jay-Z. And then there was track hidden bonus tracks. Tracks 17 through 28 are blank, supposedly, but there's Higher Ground prelude, Higher Ground featuring, I believe, multiple singers that are gospel. So she had a very much gospel song called Higher Ground that was released as well, and along with remixes. But yeah, guys, as far as the album, it did really well. It was number 1 on the top R&B hip hop albums chart and number 2 on Billboard 200. So, and then in the UK, the R&B albums chart, it was number 2, as opposed to being in the top 10 for the UK albums. So I mean, she really was making a name for herself here at this point, and everyone was here for it. What is noticeable, and I know people who are listening or watching this are kind of like, wait a minute, you did speak on this from the last album but not on this album. So it's very much evident Aaliyah is not on this album, and neither is Beyonce. They both were working on their own, but I've said it in her second album with The Real World, like The Real World was like the only time we're seeing Aaliyah and B on the same album. Okay? And Aaliyah was working on her self-titled, as opposed to Destiny's Child, which had released Survivor literally within the same week or so, like around this time. So Survivor was out, and of course Miss E, So Addictive, was out as well. We didn't get Aaliyah self-titled until July 17th, I believe, which is in a couple of days. But yeah, it was a time. And again, being unbiased, this is my channel, not just my channel, but my podcast, and our podcast, I should say, because y'all be with me. But I don't feel as though, and they said it in interviews, both Timbaland and Missy alike, where there was a moment in the midst of where these releases were happening where Aaliyah and them were not talking. And I think what it was is Aaliyah was trying to figure out what was next for her. Despite movies, despite a new album, what would be next for me? And trying to make sense of it all, being 22 years old. And unfortunately, within a month's time of her album being released, she passed. And very heartbreaking. Very heartbreaking. It was a Saturday night, and I was 7, and I couldn't understand what had happened because I was literally about to start 2nd grade. I'm like, what do you mean she's gone? Like, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. And she's very much missed. And yeah, I believe that Missy did want her on this album at one point, and because of conflicting schedules, and maybe, you know, Aaliyah felt on her self-titled that she wanted less features at the time, despite Timbaland having a few songs to work with her on, that she just wanted to just do things in a different way, where she would be able to project herself more with just her, not as many features, just listen to me, you know. And there wasn't that many artists doing that in this peak of time in the 2000s, where they were collaborating a lot. And you know, Aaliyah said, no, I want to take the real mature contemporary route where people are listening to me. And it really stands out now after so many years, because it is her last and final album, despite, you know, us getting unreleased songs thereafter. But it's just legendary, all of it. This album, legendary. Just every aspect of what was going on is legendary, because they all was working, they all was trying, they all was figuring out stuff. So this wasn't like a sense of, oh, everyone knew all of what they were going to do. Everyone was still trying to figure out what they were going to do. Even years after, they were still trying to figure out what they were going to do, because things were shifting. Like, people were just abruptly not being alive anymore. And somehow, you know, you got more movies coming out with rappers and singers rather than music, and music being leaked. And you know, it just, there was so much shifting. So, again, I just want to thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I truly appreciate it. And I'll be back with